Hey everybody, it's TQ and JQ here at Tea Time at the Apothecary with a very special guest, Martin Lopez, creator, founder. What's your official title, Martin?
Beekeeper? I don't
Bee
Beekeeper.
guy.
Yeah,
know.
you're the CBO, right? The Chief Beekeeping Officer of Sweet Comb, Chicago. One of my favorite brands, one of our favorite brands here at the Apothecary. An amazing local brand. And he's joining us for tea time. Welcome, Martin.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
feels like it's been forever.
I know. I was gonna say. Usually, even though I'm not in the store that often, I feel like we get a view of each other's faces and get to say hello, like, you know, every couple months or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's been a long time. We miss you.
yeah. I miss the store every once in a while. I drop something off and I get a whiff of that scent.
Yeah.
The store has that smell. I get a whiff of that through the back, and I'm like, oh man.
Does beekeeping equipment count as PPE, personal protective equipment, or whatever?
Yeah, it should. I don't know.
Because I was thinking maybe you could come in, maybe demos can still happen. You come in full beekeeping regalia and come in like, do some sort of we do the beekeeper will be in session at the apothecary or outside curbside beekeeping meet and greet.
I mean, now would be the time to let some bees loose in the store because there's no one there. So
Yeah. I'm waiting until we can get the mini GoPros. That's what I want.
right.
um,
You mean for the BOV for like the bee point of view?
yeah, yeah.
Like you put it on the bee's head?
Yeah, like on the back, something like that,
Oh yeah.
BOV.
That would be pretty cool.
So tell me, I have been wondering this about bees for many,
Oh,
many years. Is it true that they're just trying to fly straight, but someone 100 feet up in the air has a string attached to them and is doing this the whole time?
I've heard that.
Yeah. I think
Because
that's still to be determined. That you're talking about the cutting edge of bee science right now. So,
Right.
um, yeah.
Look at that beard, man.
oh yeah, no doubt, serious beard. And I brought it almost down to nothing at one point already during this mess, and just let go again. I'm in round two of I don't care.
See, it takes me a long time to grow this. You could probably do that in 3 days. Some of us,
Hey, you guys, a couple weeks. Couple weeks, it gets
I,
pretty.
I was I was clean shaven this morning actually.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then
Almost.
I
Not
did
quite.
some bench presses, and it just grew out. No, I've been using. I only use. I try other products, but I use two products in my beard, and one is Q Brothers beard oil, and the other one is your wax,
Your balm, yeah.
the balm,
Tough.
and it is awesome. I didn't even know that like T was the one who was like, put this on, try it, and I did it. And I was like, oh, because I thought the hold I would get would be kind of hard, but it stayed so soft. So I loved it. And for like when I'm definitely gonna see people or something, and I want to keep the flyaways down like a little bit more tight, it's awesome. So good job on the formulation there. I love it.
cool. I use it, but mainly because the cost is so low for me. Not
Dude, look for that product. I mean, I must use the back of my thumb
yeah.
for
I
like.
mean,
I don't think like I will probably need one sometime next year.
hard
Like
to go through that whole tin. It takes
yeah,
a while.
yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, Martin, I want to, like, I know a decent amount about you because obviously we've worked, in the brand. We worked together for a while, but I'm sort of, can you give us a little bit more than the bit that I know from reading your site and things like that about the history? Because it's not every urban cool guy who goes into beekeeping and starts a bee brand.
Yeah.
So speak to us about that if you could.
Yeah, sure. It for me, well, I used to travel a lot for work. I'm a,
Yeah. What do you do? What's your main gig professionally? Tell
I'm a,
people.
I'm a corporate trainer. So I would travel all over the place for months at a time. Um, and I kind of always wanted, to just get bees and heard, bees were in trouble and all of that. But I thought because I traveled so much, I couldn't do it. So the traveling really got in the way of me. It just seemed like doing anything because I was always having to leave. So I couldn't be here for different events, or I couldn't ever start anything because I would have to leave. So it'd be like, oh, I'll get a gym membership. Nah, you know what? I'm not even going to be here. What am I going to get that for? They don't have that gym in international countries. Forget it. So like I could never do anything. Um, excuse me. But then I kind of started reading about it, thinking, when I retire, I'll get bees. And then I found out that they don't really care. They don't need you that much. So I
It's
figured
not
out,
like a hive of puppies, right?
right,
Like,
right,
yeah, I can't go away. The puppies are going to need me.
But who will
yeah,
pet them?
Yeah.
right. So I kind of figured out, like, you could uh, kind of have bees and beekeep only as intensely as you want. Like you could be in the hive every day, or you could just put it there and leave it for the whole year if you wanted to. So then it was
Why
kind of
is
like,
that?
wow, I could actually do this and not be
Th-
home.
Does
So
that change your yield, or like why would somebody want to be in there every day?
um, well, because there's things you could look at, and you could, watch the queen lay eggs and watch the eggs develop and watch them hatch, and be counting mites in the hive, and looking at every day's progress, with them building wax and building out comb and
Well,
picking
Like
with
some of it is
the
just straight up
with
geeking out.
with the idea that you intervene, or no?
I mean, that's up to you, right? That's the other thing too. You can say, I'm going to go in there and like manage them, and and add new boxes on as soon as I see, a specific wrinkle, or you could just kind of set it up and be like, okay, I'm going to be a neglective beekeeper.
So that's how you started.
And they're okay. Like they don't care if there's not enough space. Some of them might leave. You might get some swarms and they'll go, but I mean, you're still helping because then you just release some bees into the,
So
into the wild.
can
or
I
whatever.
say let's be honest, you're speaking something of a different language right now than most of us speak, because you're talking about wrinkles and swarms going. And I have ideas about that, but I feel like, can you give us sort of the beekeeper's view, like a swarm? I think I read a little bit on your site, like a swarm is kind of what, a first flight intending to head out or explore new
Well,
directions.
well, half the bees in the hive will leave and go live somewhere else, make a home somewhere else. So,
It's like about the same as kids these days.
yeah. So a lot of
Stay home, yeah.
beekeeping is about like trying to prevent that. Like you don't want that because then you have less bees and less honey. So if you're kind of beekeeping to be a producer, if your main goal is to get honey out of it, then you don't want swarms and you want to try to manage that. But it's a natural cycle for the bees to do that. That's how they propagate and go out in the world. So it's kind of hard to prevent it all the time. But I mean, beekeepers try to stop that from happening constantly. But I mean, you don't have to. So I don't care. I mean, if they swarm or whatever, I think it's kind of cool. And there's 20,000 bees going to live somewhere else. If yours die, maybe those will live after winter, right? So,
Wow.
that wasn't that important for me. I think it's cool when they do that. If I'm home, I'll try to do what I can to prevent it, but I'm cool if they want to go.
We got some nice hellos for you. So I just want to say, Keith Toady said, I want to thank Marty for letting me watch him hive his bee packages in the snow last year. And Liz Sarnik says, hello to everyone. Hi, Liz. And Martin, nice to see you. Miss yoga and miss seeing you.
Yeah, no yoga.
And Therese is saying she has several friends that keep bees, and they all definitely have different levels of involvement. One even sings to her bees every day.
Well, you have to do that. That's one of the.
That's actually one of the things that cannot. You must do that, right?
Yeah. So I just want to say, I'm thinking about my own kids and bees. Has your daughter ever been in your backyard? Because if I had bees in my backyard, my girls would never go out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sappy would, but my younger daughter definitely would not.
So funny thing, she went with me to learn to be a beekeeper and took the course and
Wow.
had all that experience with the bees and everything. And I was thinking that would mean she would be comfortable. But no, she's one of the few people I know that's afraid of butterflies. Like, she runs when a butterfly comes by. So a bee is something totally different. Yeah, she's not into it at all.
Yeah, you can graduate from high school and still be afraid of butterflies, which is, that's.
So, so like, okay, I have a bee hut. I don't have a beehive. I have a bee hut.
What is a bee hut?
A bee hut is like this little house with tubes.
Section 8.
What's up?
Section 8.
Yeah. It's like the PJs for bees, No, it's actually a little hut for stingless bees.
Oh, yeah.
To just like give them a place so that they can keep pollinating. It's good. It's supposed to be good. So I put one up on my fence and I have one in the backyard. And I have a compost bin and I've considered chickens. Now, like, bees actually seems like the easiest of those things, right?
Right. See, that chickens I always thought would be really cool, but someone's got to feed the chickens every day. Yeah. Take care of them in winter. Like, if you want to go on vacation, you got to have somebody come over and be with the chickens and all that.
And you can sing for them, but they are really picky, right? They're like opera fans, right?
Yeah, and also I've heard that the new chicken sitting app didn't really go well. The valuation wasn't good and it failed.
Oh, no.
No. So, like, talk to me about, like, if somebody wants to keep bees, can I do that on my roof? So they're not in my backyard like crazy?
I mean, you can. I haven't had the greatest luck with rooftop just because it gets so much wind and it's, it seems to be a little bit more wind and a little bit colder in Chicago up on a rooftop. But I mean, they do it. People do it. I've had better luck not on the roof. But
what are the awesome byproducts that you get from your hive, and like how much can you take, and how tell me about it. I don't know anything about it.
Well, I mean, there's a million ways to do it, and there's formulas. Like, you can calculate how much honey, bees will need to get through the winter, so that they'll have enough food and all that.
How many are alive in the winter? What percentage of the summer height, if I'm thinking about this right, or are they all, or is it like, I would imagine some have short lifespans, right?
Yeah, I mean, it gets really weird. There's, normally a bee is only going to live, 30, 40 days, something like that. Real short lifespan. But it's because they work themselves to death, basically. If they're born, right before winter comes, they'll live a lot longer because they're just staying in the hive. But I mean, there's more bees being born every day. So I mean,
even,
you'll have
in winter.
Yeah, you'll have a full, a full hive, and they'll just be kind of, dying of old age and getting thrown out of the hive.
So they drop them out, like.
Yeah, you'll see the dead bees around there.
Wow.
But as far as like how much you could take or whatever, I generally, I'll go very low. Like, I'll only take a little bit just because I have no idea what's in store when winter comes. So I tend to do a harvest after winter because then I know they don't need it to get through
You're
winter.
taking the leftovers.
Yeah, like that's really what's left. So, that's kind of like a husbandry way of dealing with the whole harvest thing instead of gambling like, I think they'll be fine. And then, they all starve to death or some people take a lot, but then put food in the hive for the winter in case, they put like a sugar board in there, extra food and things like that. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but you have honey, the wax, propolis is a big one. It's hard to say how much of that you can take. It's kind of how much they produce. You can scrape off and.
You made me a tincture once.
I like that.
That's my favorite, and I
really
remember
like it.
You were in the store, and I was like, "Hey, I want the fresh propolis." And you made me a tincture with it, and that stuff is amazing.
Yeah, I like it. I try to take that, especially now, just trying to do whatever I can to keep my immune system rolling.
Yeah.
So if I can ask, so then you seem like you're a chill beekeeper. It seems like, right? So
I'm very relaxed with it.
Yeah.
But it's part of the reason is because I don't have time, man. I mean, I have my regular job. I do this, so I have the bees that are mine. I'm making all the product or whatever, and then I do the bees for a couple of park districts. I manage their apiaries, so so I'm doing like 3 different jobs. So I mean, I don't have time to get in there and be,
Yeah.
baby sitting all the time. See what I mean?
No, I appreciate it. It actually makes it it makes it very approachable and feel like something that like Jay said, it's like that's kind of interesting given that there's not as much, you can sort of choose to have less sort of responsibility all the time. I guess where I was going with it is like I wanted to pivot back to your product. So you have this awesome brand, Sweet Comb Chicago, that started out with, I think when you first visited me, you had some honey, right? It was like, you're like, hey,
It was lip balm.
It was lip balm, yeah. And then we brought in honey sometime after that. But you had lip balm or whatever. But I guess, my question is that, are you using some of your product and then supplementing with other bee product? Or is it all come from yours? Like, how does that work? What sort of got you into the product? Was that always an intention, or did it come along?
Was it just like, I got all this stuff, now I got to do something with it?
Yeah, it's just when you harvest the honey, you wind up with a lot of wax that is left over, and they secrete it as they eat. So, I mean, there's just a lot. You're always going to have a lot of excess beeswax. So it was really just like looking at the stuff, saying, "Man, I don't want to throw this away. What can I do?" And people were like, "Oh, you should make lip balm. You can make a good lip balm or whatever." So then, it was just, okay, I did that. How much wax does that take? Like, what am I going to do now? And then I think at that point, you guys were opening up the men's shop.
Yeah.
So it was like, what can I do men's product wise with these other 3 tons of beeswax that I have?
Yeah. So
then it was just a lot of reading and trial and error and making horrible things to test on myself and then kind of getting the balance right, and
That's awesome.
So can you? I'm trying to get a sense of how much, when you say, "Oh, you get a ton of wax," like, can you break it down to something that's visual? Like, how long does it take to get like this much wax? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get a sense of like, what does that mean? So you have how many boxes, and like, what is it? What do you?
I mean, I guess, how could I do this? I'll get, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 pounds of wax out of a hive, like after the harvest. It's not enough. I mean, it's not enough for all of the the product, but not everything that I'm selling is pure beeswax,
Yeah.
except pure beeswax.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But I mean, so, I have to mix it with cocoa butter and shea butter and all that kind of stuff to, to get that consistency so it's not greasy, but, gives you the tack you want and all that. So all of that kind of adds to it.
Yeah.
But,
So I want to just maybe take a break just for a second for anyone who's joined us after we started. TQ and JQ, Tea Time at the Apothecary with our special guest, Martin Lopez, the beekeeper, chief beekeeper at Sweet Comb, Chicago, speaking to us from his Rogers Park, Chicago backyard. Right?
My wife, I think, and her parents still live there, are your neighbors.
really?
Yeah. They're on Jarvis and backed up onto Toohey Park. Aren't you right near there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, kind of.
I think they're a couple blocks from you.
Yeah.
But
But you're,
I want to know more about keeping the bees, keeping the bees. Like I want to know how what is like what are my costs to get in for like a leave it alone situation
So
where I'm just like trying to do this.
this is
that's,
What? No.
I mean, that's kind of how I started out. I was like, I'm just gonna get them, and we'll see what this says. I don't need them. Like they
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, like so what does get them mean? You like buy a kit?
No. So you buy a 3-pound box of bees. Comes in a 3-pound box. I think there's like 20,000 in there or something like that. Or can't remember. It's been a while. And then you get one queen. So that's about $130 for that. And then whatever you're going to put them in. So you get a hive kit, and you can get a cheap pine one for, probably $60 to $70, or you can get, the fancy cedar, box that's going to last 50 years for $300.
Do the bees' attitudes change if they're living in a fancier box? Like, is it kind of And also, how many queen bees are named Lil Kim? That's what I want to know.
Right.
No, seriously. Stop it with your jokes.
Sorry.
I want to know.
I don't even know what to answer.
So you're saying like you
But
buy
yeah,
a
you dump
box-
them. So it's going to cost you $200. I mean, it's not expensive.
I mean, is this something everybody should do?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, in Chicago, you can, legally, you can have 5 hives if you want to on your property.
And so like if I'm like I want to just do this cuz there's not enough bees and this is good for the world right now. So I spend my $200, I put my hive out, and you're saying like they'll just figure it out? Bees just figure it out.
I mean, you could do it that way and not even harvest the honey. A lot of people just have bees in their garden that they just kind of, low maintenance. But once you have them, then you're going to be like, ooh, I wonder, I'm going to just look up harvesting. And then you're going to, learn how to get a little bit of honey. And then you're going to.
Is it hard to get the honey?
You're going to be making you're going to be making lip balm and, beard conditioner in a couple months.
I got enough beard conditioner and lip balm.
Yeah, but the Keith.
I'll depend on you for that. I'm good with that.
Your friend Keith said his freezer is full of frames of honey right now. I don't know what to do with it all. The honey tastes a bit like mint. First of all, that sounds awesome. Second of all, what is a frame of honey for those of us who are uninitiated?
Oh man, I don't have one right here. I would.
But I mean, is that like when you pull out the frame in the box, this sort
Yeah.
of like that, what looks like a picture frame and it's filled with a comb or whatever?
Yeah.
So when I was in Germany, I was staying at this hotel when we were performing there, and in the morning, in the buffet, they had like
Isn't that cool?
the comb.
Yeah.
You just like crunch a bunch of it off and like spread it on bread. It's got like crystals plus honey. That stuff is amazing. Do I get that stuff if I keep bees?
Yeah.
Jay it's funny for me being his brother, knowing how he is. Like, look, he's in a studio. Oh, like you want to, he has a profession that involves buying always more equipment and hooking it up in more complex ways and going down rabbit holes. And surprise, surprise, he wants to buy a box of frames and like have bees mixed up in a way that will like take up the next 10 years of his life in terms of more complexity. It's one of the things I love about my brother. It's one of the ways that we're so different. And so I also want to say, I'm not saying this to be the negative guy. I just want to say, like, for those of us who aren't the nerds like that, I want to ask a few questions. One is, how many times have you been stung by the bees, or how many times you get stung a year?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like last year, I was trying to get immunity to stings, because you can, if you get stung enough, like it won't even affect you anymore. So I was like making them sting me, and they're reluctant. Like I was having to hold them and like, push them on me, being like, come on, do it or whatever. But it hurts really bad. So
Yeah.
like after about 11, I was like, you know what, forget it. I don't want immunity. Like this is it's too much.
It seems like you already worked your way through iocane powder, like the Princess Bride, and now you're like, now I'm also going to do bees. Let me make them sting me again and again.
So 11 on purpose is the most you've been stung.
Yeah, because they really don't. They really don't want to. Usually, when I get stung, it's a misunderstanding. Like I was in the hive and I had a shirt that had a really long sleeve hanging down, and a bee flew in there and I didn't know, and then I closed my arm on it, so it was getting smashed. So it stung me. So things like that happen. But for the most part, like they're super gentle. You can open up the hive and pet them, and they don't.
Wow. That's kind of why I'm asking, as like much as I'm not the guy who wants to get in a ton of equipment, part of it is like, I have a backyard in the city. I would love to help pollinate. I could see possibly being like a super chill beekeeper that does like a harvest a year or something like that. But I also feel like I don't want to be sort of like, if you said like, all right, you're going to get about 10 inadvertent stings a season, I probably am just going to say like, I'll let Jay do it and go visit his house.
I mean, that's a lot,
Okay.
And the risk increases if you're going inside the hive and opening it up and taking it apart. If you're doing that every day, then those kind of accidents can happen more. So, and then my stepdaughter.
Are you smoking them?
Always when I beekeep, I smoke, and then I go and keep yeah, I mean that calms them down too. But like my stepdaughter hates getting stung, so whenever she's gonna do anything, she puts on the bee suit. She's never been stung, but it's because she doesn't want to. So she's like, I'm just gonna wear this. I don't care if they're gentle. Yeah, that's what you say, but you've been stung, so yeah. I'm gonna wear the suit. So she just suits up every time, and that kind of takes care of that. Whereas I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to put the suit on, so I'm like, they'll be fine. I'm just gonna go in there. They're gentle,
That's cool. That's really cool.
I'm amazed.
Yeah.
And get bees.
Yeah, I guess
share ownership of a hive or something. Put it on the roof.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have to. Or my neighbors would be like, "You just brought 20,000 freaking bees into the yard." Like,
Jay,
can I at least get some honey out this?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I give the neighbors a pound of honey every year. I give them a free honey, and they're gardeners, so so they're pretty.
Well, I'm sure they have a beautiful garden now, thanks to you.
I mean, they pollinate everything because they're lazy too. Like they don't want to go far away. If you have tomatoes right there, they're gonna get that first before they start flying farther and whatnot.
Yeah, wow. I have a lot of silly jokes like do is it like dogs, like do bees resemble their owners, like that kind of stuff, and I don't know. But no, Jay, I was going to say, if you wanted to put them, I would be open to putting them at my place if you want to help take care of them, because my backyard has a little more room, and I'm along the Chicago River, so we could actually probably put it outside my fence there, and there's so much for them to pollinate along the river. That'd be fun.
And a water source too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
The other thing you got to know is that the flight path is like 20, 30 feet up in the air. So they're not flying around my backyard. I mean, I have a couple 100,000 bees right there. And I mean, they come out of the hive and go up and then go wherever they're going. It's not like they're all, zipping around in your space. So I
Oh,
mean, you wouldn't
really?
really notice you had them unless you go stand right in front of the box.
Cool.
So what else like so I know that you said some of the inspiration for your products came from just the fact that you were a local guy who said, "Hey, I got this lip balm and I made it." And then we were like, "We're opening this new place." And you were like, "What else could they use?" But that's one of the ways. But what else did you like dream up anything else, or was it all just from research of other beekeepers saying, "Hey, here's a good way to use this byproduct. Here's a good way to use this byproduct."
'Cause you have a pretty, for those people who don't know, you have a pretty extensive line right now. Like it's an awesome line. Uh,
Yeah, too much stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say your sort of hand balm in the tin with the, you impress it with the honeycomb sort
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
design, which I love. That's like a standard gift of mine. Like I have 15,000 products I could give, but like I always feel like when I'm giving a gift, just a little like, hey, I'm going to someone's house, I haven't seen them in a while. It's usually the tin of that with something else that we have in the store. But you're on my short list, just so you know.
Awesome.
And I get a lot of compliments for it. I've actually sold a lot. It wasn't my intention, but people are like, I've used that up on my whole body. I love it. Like I need more of that. So
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff just came from research and trying to figure out, uh, what else I can do while kind of staying with um, with the bees in mind. So, um, because it all started because I'm trying to do something for the bees. So,
yeah,
um, so anything I come up with, should have some kind of bee, uh, should be something from the bees contributed um, to it, and then just trying to stay with organic ingredients and things like that, so I'm not contributing to, harming the bees that I'm dealing with all the time.
yeah,
Um,
it's
So
cool. Yeah.
you like you love bees. You like love them. I can see it by the way you talk, and it's really cool. What
cool.
when did that start? Was that early on, or did you just hear about that and then were moved by it and was like, I'm gonna get involved?
Yeah, I mean, just I guess the surprise of them not stinging me after I got them. Because everybody's always like, "Oh, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep bees away from me." Like, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. Whatever. So just like kind of having them and noticing that, you know, they could land on me and walk around um, and they're gentle and whatnot was enough, for me to be like, wow, they're actually pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I guess that's a little weird.
I like it.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. We have, is it Marzi? Um, said she just started, he or she, I don't know. That person said they just started studying honey tasting with the American Honey Tasting Society, which
Cool.
sounds really cool. That's the kind of nerd out that I could do. I got to be honest, more than like, opening up frames and whatever. I'll taste honey.
I mean,
Uh,
it's so different every time I harvest. It's totally different than before, just because the nectars they're getting are so different. I get like a clear, almost non-colored to like dark amber to orange to all with a different taste. Um, I think the best one I like is when there's a lot of mint in the
Yeah.
yard. The flavor's really good. I think when I get it like that, I always send you one so you could kind of taste it.
yeah, yeah, no, I love it. Your your honey is a favorite in my house for sure. Um, so I guess have you experimented with anything like planting certain things to see if you could taste it in the honey or to influence the taste of that?
Yeah, I mean, every year it's more like I plant stuff and then see if it
Yeah.
affects, because it's more like we have a garden, so we're always just growing different stuff. So like this year we have all this purple basil, like big bushes of it, and the bees are all over it. So I'm kind of curious if
Yeah.
it's going to be good or bad or some weird tasting
It
honey.
sounds like if mint is good, that's going to be in the same family, so that could be great.
We'll see.
And then like when I see like if I'm at the grocery store, I see like there's always like, like orange blossom honey and wildflower honey. Are they putting that? Are they infusing that afterwards, or does that mean that was around the hive?
To categorize it that way, you have to ensure that there was nothing else that the bees could have gotten. So it's kind of hard because they can travel, about 3 miles. So if you have orange blossom honey, that means you had the bees in a field that was orange blossoms for 3 miles and they couldn't eat anything else.
Wow.
So most common is going to be wildflower because we can't control where they're at unless you're doing some monoculture thing where they're just in the almond fields or whatever. Then you're going to get that.
But I mean, part of urban beekeeping is obviously like to sort of combat the monoculture and to ensure that our city, stays verdant, right? It's like,
Yeah, I think the honey's the best because it's diverse. Like you got all the different, everybody's flowers all kind of mixed into it. I like it.
It's like music.
But there's some honeys that are, that are amazing that are just single flower honeys. I always buy those when I'm out and I see something,
They're fun to try for sure.
weird I've never seen before. I'm always like, oh yeah, I gotta get this. And
yeah.
And then I have 13 different kinds of honey in the cabinet. Like, what are you doing, dude? You got 800 pounds of honey. Why are you buying?
Yeah.
What about pollen? We didn't talk about pollen. Is that a byproduct? You get that?
I mean, it can be. You can put like little pollen catchers, and when the bees carry it in, it kind of forces them to drop some pollen into a tray. Because they have these big saddlebags they carry in, so it kind of makes them squeeze in, and some of it falls out, and then you wind up with a tray full of all the pollen from the area.
But they're using that pollen to feed their queen in the hive, right? I mean, it's like,
Yeah, but they want it for for a protein source. So I've done it before, but I don't try to harvest a bunch of pollen. Actually, I buy it and feed it to them sometimes. I just put it make it easier for them. And instead of going to 40 flowers, I'm just gonna put a pile of pollen on the entrance.
Yeah, you're like you guys.
Come in.
You're so nice. You're like you guys been working hard. You need a day off.
You spoil your bees.
Relax.
Man. You got spoiled bees.
Hook them up with some free pollen.
I started eating it like maybe I went up to my brother's place. My brother lives about an hour outside the city, the middle brother, and I started going to his place, and I was getting these crazy allergies, and I took it every day for about 5 days in a row, and then it's like I don't have allergies at his place anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It was really fast. I was amazed at how quickly it worked.
Yeah, I think the honey does that for me because I have it in my tea or coffee. I don't use sugar. I just use honey, and it kind of takes care of my allergies. So.
I would imagine you use honey in just about everything that needs sweetness, huh? Like that's pretty much.
I do. Yeah, like my wife won't do honey in her coffee, but I mean I will. I'm kind of used to it now. Sugar tastes weird.
Yeah, I stopped doing any type of sugar in my coffee, but for 3 years before I gave that up, I always did only honey in my coffee for sure. I love that. I think that flavor goes so good together.
This is a kind of a more of a scientific question and something I maybe should know, but what type of sugar is honey? Like fruit is fructose, Like, what is honey? Do you know? I'm gonna look it up.
I don't.
I'm sort of into, because diabetes runs in my family and just the business that we have. I'm always into like what type of sugar something is, because okay, it is fructose.
It's fructose and glucose.
Glucose and sucrose.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know it's the only complete food product. So you could just have honey and you'd be okay, and water. I mean, if that was your only food, you'd actually survive.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and well, the reason I asked is that my brother, our middle brother, he, like we're all sort of sensitive to sugar because diabetes runs in our family. It's like that's something we watch. But he was talking about how putting sugar in tea at night, he doesn't sleep as well. But putting honey in tea at night, he sleeps like a charm, and he doesn't seem to feel like there's as much of a blood sugar spike. So I'm sort of just, I don't have the answer. I'm musing about why that might be, and if it is because of the completeness of the food that it is, or something.
Well, we talked about, it was like it's that glycogen. It has glycogen, which sort of replenishes, I think, the liver or something, and that's what helps you go to sleep.
Well, it's like, that's how it's stored in the liver, right? Is glycogen.
I think so. Yeah.
Sugar in general. But anyway, either way, it's really fascinating. I don't eat a lot of sugar, but if I do, I always feel like honey's the way I like to get it.
It says it'll restock the liver with the glycogen needed to prevent crisis trigger from the brain. And then it also slightly raises insulin, allowing tryptophan to enter the brain as well.
Oh, so that's going to help you sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the insulin boost, I think. Yeah. Huh. It's cool. Yeah, I would say like I'm probably, feels like I've gone through some crisis triggers in my day. I don't know. So we'll see.
Do you prefer, like at your house, do you have the clarified, or do you keep it like a paste and like put it on bread and stuff?
For the honey?
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, I get a lot of it like crystallizes naturally, and then I use that for, spreadable or whatever. But it just really depends what's happening in the big jug of honey I have sitting on the counter at all times.
And what is whipped honey? Or they just put it in a machine and whip it to bring air bubbles into
like
it?
a complicated process, because I was thinking about it. I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. And then like I looked at it and saw the process and everything, and it's kind of involved. I was like, wow, really? You gotta inject air into it and go through all this? Like,
yeah, and it sort of seems to go, I mean, people can do what they want, but it seems like one of the appeals is sort of like the minimal processing of it is part of the appeal. So then to go put it through a process feels like, like.
I mean, it's fine. You're just not saving a lot of time there and or energy, right?
Yeah. I did want to ask you guys, because you know this stuff. So, one of my issues, I think, is because I'm like working all these different jobs and always having things on the back of my brain that I got to remember, and from totally different areas or whatever. Yeah. I notice sometimes I have it's not even a lack of focus. It's like just things that should be right there are like stuck at the tip of my tongue. Like I think all the constant multitasking is causing like brain damage or something, man. Because I'll get like the name of a street or like somebody's name or like things that should be real easy, just like escape.
I think I've heard they term that getting older. That's how I think of it.
Dad brain.
I was gonna say there's just.
I mean, I think it's because I'm like fractioned out in all these different things that it's like I don't know, like my neural networks are getting like all split off off, and because I'm always multitasking.
Yeah, I mean, coming from somebody who has many jobs and multitasks a lot, I can say that for for us, I know T takes this too, but I take lemon balm every day, and that does two things. That gives you like a little bit of stress relief. It's a calming agent, but it also brings. It's not like calming with tired. It's calming. It's like a calming focus, if that makes sense. So that's been helpful. And then the other thing that I've been doing,
I've moved from taking it to just drinking it, actually. I'm so sensitive to things that I found that taking a supplement of it every day seems to be good at first, and then almost anything that I take starts to get a little too much, and I feel like the good effects are lost on me. But I like drinking lemon balm a lot.
it's also the other bonus there is that it's a natural antiviral, so it's a good thing to be drinking right now anyway. So it couldn't hurt regardless. So I'd try that. The other thing is, man, if you're pulled in a lot of directions, you know,
Stop it.
no,
Quit
no,
doing
but
it.
I mean that's just not realistic either. So, but if you haven't tried any form of meditation, I mean, I highly recommend it. It's very much changed, and it sounds like, oh yeah, I've done some yoga or breathing or something, but with no other activity in mind, just that by itself has been a game changer for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But the other thing is like this is getting into areas that I nerd out on, and I nerd out on it, but I'm so far from having figured it out. Let me just say that. So like I don't speak as an expert, but I speak as someone who's done a lot of exploration. There's a couple things I'm big fans of. I'm a big fan of Getting Things Done. Have you heard about that book or read it?
Mm-mm.
So it's like a system book for your life when you are especially for people who feel like they're overwhelmed in terms of the amount of things that they have to keep track of. And I will say I don't follow it perfectly, but I've taken certain things from it. And the thing that I appreciate and that I think you described and it sort of brought this to mind is that I'm kind of a tech guy, but it's like it feels like you're maxed out on RAM. Like your RAM is beat right. Like that's the feeling. Is like I always talk about it, and so I get pretty grumpy when people keep throwing things on my plate. And unfortunately for my family, that comes at the end of the day when I'm exhausted, and then I'm home, and they're like, and my wife's like, "Hey, by the way, can I ask you about this? And what are we going to do about the kids' schooling during the pandemic? And should we vote for the remote only option?" And I'm just like, right. We talked about this earlier. It's like, and it's not her fault. It's like these are things that families need to discuss. But it's my feeling, and I always say, is like my RAM has been used up. I have no more temporary storage place today to hold anything else. And I'm saying it to be humorous, but I think that when you are running, for me, it's not that I'm running 5 jobs, but it's like 5 jobs within a company. And so we do a lot of stuff, right? Like e-commerce and stores, and there's people issues and Amazon and whatever. I think that in general, you got to start thinking about, am I just stretching my RAM? Like, am I using up all my RAM? And so some of that is, can I have a system where I can store some of the things that I'm obsessing about all the time and know that when I need to go back, I can go look at it and it's going to be waiting there for me. But I can start to just let go of it all, what I'm keeping in my head as sort of constantly available to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think that there are some systems around doing that, but I would argue that a decent system of keeping track of things, like a notes taking system, for me, that's digital that I can search. So when I'm like, oh, Martin Lopez, like I can go look at anything that I had in the note and like pull it up. But on top of that, then I can meditate. And that combination has made me feel like, hey, I'm not going to lose anything. It's going to be all right. I can
Yeah.
focus on what I need.
I guess that's a good way to do that, because I think I kind of do that with my corporate job. That's how I
Yeah.
kind of handle it. But like all the other stuff is kind of like, well, it's not really work, so I just kind of keep it in my personal
Yeah.
space. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, sadly, I think like for most people who are doing a lot of things, um, it's getting harder and harder to be like, my work is one thing and then my home is another. For most of us, if you run your own company or you're gig worker or whatever, it's like the reality is my work and my personal are so intertwined that I had to cross that bridge where I had to say like, I need to start tracking all my personal crap too in the same way, even though it feels like work, so that I can just have some free time to think.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the peeps agree. They're saying meditation, meditation, meditation. So try it out. T gave me one app that's good. I think he can probably text you like the free month trial to it. But it's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, making sense is the app. I've tried a bunch of meditation ones. That one sort of resonated with my more analytical brain. To
Making sense or waking up?
waking up, I mean, waking up. It's the one. That's the name of the app. And what it is it like I felt like rather than just being like, oh, I'm on a guided journey, it felt like it was sort of teaching me what I was trying to over time realize. Does that make sense? Like I'm a person. I want you to explain to me. Don't just like do it with me. Like kind of give me some insight into what I'm sort of over time building toward. I found it to be helpful. So
John says delete your cookies and reset the computer and meditate to clean up your RAM.
yeah.
Delete the cookies. That's funny. All right. Hey, we got to wrap it up.
So if you don't know, please go visit sweetcombchicago.com, follow them on social media, follow Martin, see what he does. Martin, as always, I'm super impressed with you. I feel like we're very fortunate in that we meet great people. And like I look back and it feels like in the blink of an eye, it's been many years that I've known awesome people. And you're one of those people that I just feel grateful that you're sort of in the Merz orbit and in my life. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys. It's been awesome. And yeah, it went by really quick because on some levels I feel like I just met you guys, but it's been some time already now.
What
In
is
a
it?
number of years, I want to say like 5-6 years at least.
I think
right?
it's more like 8.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So
It's been a bit.
yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us, everybody else. Thanks for joining us. Eat some, take some honey and
Yeah.
come try out the products at Merz.
Yeah, we'll link it up on our site too. So if
awesome.
you want to pick, you can support 2 local businesses at once. Buying some sweet combs, check out his site, but you can also, if you buy from us, you like support Merz and you support some Rogers Park bees.
And you're supporting the bees, and Martin doesn't ship. He drives it over and drops off the products we need. So you're saving a lot of energy because he's not shipping it all over the country to a fulfillment center to this place to this place. It's
Yeah.
just driven over to the store, which is so cool.
Yeah, less packaging, less everything. It's awesome. I love that local economy of scale kind of stuff. It's great. So
And so then we'll be calling you because I'm gonna convince T to put 20,000 bees in his backyard.
Yeah, man, just one little hive. Just try it.
Yeah.
I'm open. I just don't want to be my RAM is still pretty full, man. I don't want to. Jay's got to take that one on him. So if you want to do
I'm
it,
into it. I don't have the yard for it.
I got the space. I'll throw cash into it with you, but you got to help take care of it.
$100
So-
each.
There you go. He's throwing in the money.
There you go. All right.
Guys, we'll take care. I hope to see you guys soon, man.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind, but our company is going to be called Sweeter Comb Chicago. So I don't think people will get confused.
No.
I'm messing with you. Anyway, much love, brother. Peace out.
All right, take care.